out of the box or out of the wall, whatever we want to call it, we have, other way, The Strangers. So the reason I'm watching this is because little did I know they're making a Strangers chapter 1, 2, and 3, directed by Rennie Harlan, which is kind of an interesting director to actually do this. But anyway, this is what started it, and it says based on true events. And you need to actually see what the true events really are, because I did, and it's not what you expect from what the director actually said. But anyway, is The Strangers worth your time to rewatch? And I will be watching the unrated version. Chase Lee Hockey here at the Blue Futon reviewing The Strangers. What's about? Pretty simple premise. Two people, Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman, are stuck in a house and they're being terrorized by three people. No more, no less. And the reason for that is just because they're home. That is it. Then you do have a little cameo or a little small appearance from one of the people, from Glenn Howerton, if I'm saying his name right, from Parks and Recreation, as well as Blackberry. So I find that very interesting. What I find very interesting with this is when you read this, do not read the synopsis on Rotten Tomatoes. They give you the biggest, spoiler that you shouldn't know about at all. So, did I like this movie? I thought it was pretty good. I guess what some people like about it and they don't like about it is when a killing happens, motive. Here, there is absolutely no motive, and you know that because the tagline is because you were home. That is it. We're going to terrorize you and murder you just because we knocked on the door. And when I said it's based on a true event, this true event is what the director said, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misquote him, is there was something that he heard about in the past where someone would knock on the door, and if someone would answer, they would terrorize or rob them, or vice versa, if I'm not mistaken. If you answer your door, they're not going to rob you, but if you didn't answer your door, they're going to rob you. So it's kind of the same event, and that is the event, is someone getting knocked on the door, and someone opened the door, and you know what? That's who we're going to terrorize, because they want to murder whoever's in the home. So I think that's what works in this movie. What also works is watching on my surround sound, the sound design, and the music. That works extremely well. It even scared my dog when there was knocking on the doors, when the music was going on. It worked. It terrified my dog, and it's really, really loud. Also, the good musical beats where they drag it out. Some people might be annoyed with that, but I think it adds to the tension of, repeating, and you're like, oh snap, what is actually going to occur next? Or when is the music actually going to stop? So I really enjoyed that. I do think Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman does a good job in this movie. I am curious where they went in their careers, because Scott Speedman kind of, I think, is doing Grey's Anatomy. Liv Tyler, she probably doesn't even need to work anymore. I mean, Steven Tyler's her dad, so there's that. This was a kind of a closet hit. I think it was made on a $9 million budget, and it made like $83 million worldwide. 53-esque in America alone, so it's pretty solid. The director has been doing a little bit smaller movies, horror movies here and there, and I think he did help write this new trilogy coming out. I'm intrigued, though, why they're doing this trilogy, because like this one, there's one that came out 10 years later in 2018, and now they're doing this chapter 1, 2, 3, which is a back-to-back-to-back one, which I think one comes out in May, another one in October, and the next one later on in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. But it's just like cool, but are you dragging this premise on a little bit too much? But that's not about that. That's about this movie right here. I do think the tension is there. I do think the reasoning why it works, but it's also just kind of bummer because, there's just sick people in this world, and you want to say where some people are like, oh, people would never do that. It's like, people are fucked up, especially like what happened in New York, where the guy like basically put in a noose around a girl and sexually assaulted her in New York. Like, what the actual fuck is going on in the world today? This kind of correlates with, like, just people just have evil intentions overall, and it's pretty messed up. But like I said, as a first-time director, and I think he said it was his third screenplay to actually hit the ground running, it's directed extremely well. It's written pretty well, except there are some stupid-ass character decisions. Just like every horror movie out there, you gotta have characters making stupid decisions. I swear that's a prerequisite. Except for maybe, not Scott Speedman, sorry, I made the guy that directed Black Phone, the guy that directed Derrickson. Yeah, Scott Derrickson. His horror movies actually have smart characters through and throughout. But this is the whole 2000s, early 1990s where characters are just stupid as shit. So overall, The Strangers, it does work as a terror movie because that is all it is. It is 3 people terrorizing these two people, and they're just doing it because they think it's fun. While it's not no revenge, while it's just sadisticness, it works because it proves there are just people out there that are just straight freaking evil. So The Strangers will receive a 3 out of 5 Futons, which equals that 60%. So see the critics and user scores gave this one. And I do find it interesting that this kind of got cult status. Like, even though it did pretty good in the movie theater, it even did, like, afterwards, like, it made a decent amount of money, I think, on DVD as well, like 17 million. So, pretty solid. Anyway, audience, 48. Critics, 49. 250,000 audience, 164 critics. Let's do the critic consensus, y'all. The Strangers has a handful of genuinely scary moments, but they're not enough to elevate the end results above standard slasher fare. Sure, I can agree with that. We'll agree with that. 49, 48, 80. Or sorry, 60. Chase, we got here with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more things, Butontopia. You Booftonians, thank you for watching. Have a great day. I can watch State tomorrow, week from now, month, and a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. And of course, you know what's coming next. And after that, you're smart. I believe in you.